fought the disease for 10 years and I had 10 surgeries. 4 of them were in my brain, 4 craniotomies. I had 2 gamma knives that took care of 2 of the 8, and there were 2 in my back lobe that were not operable. So that was the whole picture there. But on year 8, frustrated and broke, Karen, how expensive things are here. Plus my insurance topped out at maybe year 4. And by then I was supposed to not be here. But my whole prognosis was very gloomy from the beginning. But I managed to survive it on year 8, broke, frustrated, poor quality of life. I took a leap of faith, my personal faith, and it has a lot to do with the 2 non-operable tumors that disappear. And that whole experience, Karen, now that I look back and I got my, let's say, my survivor title, changed my life. And in such a way that God gave me the chance to sing the song I was born to sing, which is really helping people. And the thing for me was, I didn't have like PTSD or anything from the whole thing, especially the 4 craniotomies, the 4 brain surgeries. But really, surviving gave me the chance to sing the song that I was born to sing, which is, and I say this, I share in the book, helping other people. So in 2016, I started to work on energy, healing, stuff that I used when I decided to go non-conventional. I did all kinds of holistic stuff that worked for me. And then I found out that there's almost 9 million people like me that went that route after trying chemo, including that guy, that doctor in Toronto. He was in his almost 5th year, and he says, man, this is expensive. I'm not getting anywhere. They're changing everything on me. And so he started exploring and realized that there are other alternatives.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Running Strong Mind-Body Connection podcast. This is where we explore the powerful link between mental fitness, resilience, and what it truly takes to overcome life's toughest challenges. I'm your host, Karen Bonnet-Natraj, mental fitness and peak performance coach. I'm an ultra-distance athlete, training for the Cocodona 250, and I am someone who believes the strength of the human spirit is far greater than we often realize. So today's conversation is going to be a really powerful one. I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I'm going to. My guest is Georges Cordoba. He is here to share his extraordinary journey, not only about the current state of health in the United States and why so many people just wait until something breaks before we pay attention to our bodies, but also about how he's faced one of life's most unimaginable challenges. George battled stage 4 melanoma, including 8 brain tumors, 2 of them inoperable. And he's here today to share the mindset, the resilience, and lessons that helped him navigate that journey. This is a conversation about health, about awareness, courage, and what it really means to fight for your life. So welcome, Georges, to the Running Strong Mind-Body Connection podcast. I'm super excited to have you here. So just for my guests to know, George and I met through a program that we're both involved in. And so when I learned more about his story and who he is, it was just a no-brainer for me to invite him on my podcast. So George, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen. And I appreciate you inviting me. It's an honor to share with your audience, with you and your audience. So yes. I'm excited, yes.
So just so people know who you are, Georges, can you tell us a little bit about you?
Sure. I'm Georges Cordoba. My parents came from Madrid, Spain, and Greece, and they met in Venezuela. I was born in Caracas, Venezuela, back in 1960. And through the years, I became a very good tennis player, and I won a scholarship to play here NCAA Division I tennis.
Wow!
At New Mexico State University, and And I just fell in love. Before that, I graduated early in high school, 17 years old, and I came as an exchange student. And I went they put me in Chicago, Illinois. So the whole thing was repeating my senior year in high school so I could learn English. Spanish is my first language. And so I did that. I loved the country. I was living in a very small corn farm, very close to Indiana. And my graduating class was 46 people, including myself. And there was no other way but learning the language. And this proved right. But I really enjoyed the American way, even though that's Midwest. And so I got back to Venezuela, continued to work really hard on my tennis. I played for the national junior team there. And so a coach was scouting in this tournament, international junior tournament in Miami, Florida. And so that was the story and how I finally came here in 1980. Since then, I'm a Venezuelan born, but 42-year American citizen.
Nice.
However, now I'm a proud father of 5. We have 4 men, now they're men, and our daughter, the youngest, just got married at 31 years old. We all flew to Miami. We did a family reunion for the wedding. But when they were very little, I have to share with you guys that on my Greek side of the family, Karen, many people passed from cancer. And the whole thing started, and I remember it. I remember Greeks are pretty dramatic, let's say. That's part of the culture.
Right, they are, yeah.
So I remember my grandfather passing from colon cancer at the time. That was in 1964. I was 4 in 1965, maybe 5 years old. Then his brother,
Wow.
who also, and then 2 of my grandmother's sisters. Then my godfather, I'm a Christian Catholic. Then he passed away. And then my uncle, my mother's brother, passed of cancer. He was a smoker, lung cancer. And 3 weeks before I was diagnosed with cancer, my dear mother, passed of cancer as well. So I grew up on how the mind works. And if you remember The Secret, I feared the disease. When I looked at my family landscape, I thought, oh my goodness, I'm doomed. This is before I knew everything I know now. I thought it was hereditary, which is not. What is hereditary is your ways, your culture, and what you eat, and you follow up with everybody. And anyway, so at the age of 42, I was diagnosed 3 weeks after my mother passed of cancer. I couldn't mourn her. I was diagnosed with cancer, and the first lesion was, I used to surf a lot and play tennis, like I said. And I thought it was really the sun, which is true. If you accumulate UV through your life, at one point, if you suffer an emotional experience, it could go and start growing. All diseases, by the way, this is not mine. I do research all the time, and I speak holistic health events and things like that. And all diseases, by the way, are emotional, and they all begin. The gate opens when we have inflammation in our bodies, which is 9 out of 10 people, because of what we eat, our stress. But all disease, and I learned this from a holistic MD. I was speaking live in Toronto, Canada. He was there, and when we did the round table, he took a question from one of the folks that were streaming online. And he did say that without exception, and then I looked it up, all diseases are emotional, and they begin in inflamed bodies. But at 42, I was diagnosed, and I started a journey. It was malignant melanoma, and just to make it short, it was progressing to my brain. I had 8 brain tumors of melanoma, and 2 of them through the years were not operable. I fought the disease for 10 years, and I had 10 surgeries. 4 of them were in my brain, 4 craniotomies. I had 2 gamma knives that took care of 2 of the other of the 8, and there were 2 in my back lobe that were not operable. So that was the whole picture there. But on year 8, frustrated and broke, Karen, how expensive things are here. Plus my insurance topped out at maybe year 4. And by then I was supposed to not be here. But my whole prognosis was very gloomy from the beginning. But I managed to survive it on year 8, broke, frustrated, poor quality of life. I took a leap of faith, my personal faith, and it has a lot to do with the 2 non-operable tumors that disappear. I have a book, a best-selling book, Beating the Odds, My Journey Through Holistic Health to Overcome Advanced Cancer. And this coming July will be my 14th year free of the disease.
Nice.
And that whole experience, Karen, now that I look back and I got my, let's say, my survivor title, changed my life. And in such a way that God gave me the chance to sing the song I was born to sing, which is really helping people. And the thing for me was, I didn't have like PTSD or anything from the whole thing, especially the 4 craniotomies, the 4 brain surgeries. But really, surviving gave me the chance to sing the song that I was born to sing, which is, and I say this, I share in the book, helping other people. So in 2016, I started to work on energy, healing, stuff that I used when I decided to go non-conventional. I did all kinds of holistic stuff that worked for me. And then I found out that there's almost 9 million people like me that went that route after trying chemo, including that guy, that doctor in Toronto. He was in his almost 5th year, and he says, man, this is expensive. I'm not getting anywhere. They're changing everything on me. And so he started exploring and realized that there are other alternatives. However, basically, when I decided to do that, I first became a Reiki master, Reiki practitioner and Reiki master. My wife as well. She was at that time a biologist doing human reproduction, but we both decided that this thing was a calling. My experience just had a rough time. We have 5 kids. They were young. We had to tap into 401ks, both of ours. I was obviously in the corporate world. We had to tap into our Roth IRAs and college funds for the kids because the insurance just stopped out. And on year 8, we were just basically broke. But the whole thing, like I said, made us all stronger. The kids went through their teen years wondering if daddy would pass like grandma, and it never happened. And so it taught them a lot. I think in the positive area, I said, when you go through a challenge or you have to move a mountain of this range and this altitude, and you do it, it says a lot to the entire family. My doctors, it's funny because both of my daughters' godparents are physicians, and he's a surgeon. And when I told them that I was going to stop chemotherapy and radiotherapy and all that stuff, and my wife, because she was working with hospitals and stuff on reproduction, they were all against it. And I said, look, I know myself. I know that I can heal from the inside out. This is not working for me. I'm broke, and I'm not about to continue this vicious cycle of surgery, treatment, remission, recurrence, surgery, treatment, remission, recurrence, celebration in many times. But after like the 6th time, I was a little concerned about celebrating because it would always come back. Right. Later on, I'll tell you that I was getting back with all these things, all this recurrence.
So, Georges, I want to touch on some stuff too, because you said something early in the beginning of this, and that was the stress in our body creating that dis-ease. And we all have some inflammation in our body, but that what's aided with that is sugar. And I know sugar is a huge catalyst of cancer.
Absolutely.
And I also truly believe in my heart too, is that we have the ability to heal ourselves. And that basis came before I was even a coach, before I got into my mental fitness stuff. And folks, I'll talk about the mental fitness in a minute, but You look at people who are hypochondriacs and they make themselves so sick because they believe it. If you have people who are hypochondriacs and they truly believe it, it's the belief that we have in our mind
Absolutely. Yes.
that makes our body respond to that belief. And so why can't it be the opposite? Why can't it be that we can believe we can heal ourselves? And I believe it. The mental fitness that I do with my people is taking them through and teaching them tools to not be in that stress.
Yes.
Because we were born with stress and then we just embody it in our whole life. That's our way of functioning is stress. And I learned in a different way than you did, but I really want to get to a question I have for you. But I learned in a way that because I got shingles and I couldn't believe it because I lead a pretty healthy lifestyle and everything I do. But then there's also our immune system, and I learned a lot about the health of our body. It isn't on the outside. Physically, I'm fit, blah, but it's the inside. It's our inner thoughts. It's our inner belief. It's our inner world, heart, the liver, everything functions in our body, and we got to keep that healthy. But that's when I got into Reiki because I believed we could heal ourselves. And what is Reiki? Because people can go, okay, whatever, but no, it's true. I've seen energy move. My teacher had a blue light, red light, some light that could show us the energy. And I was working on this one lady, and it just blew me away. And the thing is that we are so conditioned to have the physical stuff and believe that, but energy, you don't see it, moves. And so, what, besides the money and all that, what was the shift in you? Because there had to have been another shift. You could say, I can't afford this. I get it. That's just, I think the pharmaceuticals and the medical world just rips it. And it's not the doctors. I've read many books of doctors who've turned holistic, and you had the same thing. Because their mission in life is really to help people heal, help people be healthy. But they're controlled by money, pharmaceuticals, insurance, all that stuff. Okay, fine. But then with that, there had to have been something else in your mindset that shifted you into the holistic. There had to be something different. What was that for you?
That's a great question, and I have to say that it was really my background, my competitive background, and I really worked a lot with tennis. You either win or somebody kicks your butt. There's no tie. There's no how we lost together. We played together so well as a team. It's like swimming. Any individual sport makes you a little different, makes you a little, let's say, self-centered in a way, because you have to be. And so, but when I was 17, I was just going to my last year of juniors. The National Venezuelan Tennis Federation, they contracted a guy from Yugoslavia, an Olympian, and to work with us on visualization and work some mindset skills to play better, to come back from losing and winning at the end of the day, or like putting off the crowd. I used to play really bad when my dad, who played Davis Cup, an amazing tennis player, he would show up and I would play really bad. So, and other kids had other reasons. So he taught us how to visualize, how to see, like the guy that broke the first time the record for the mile, an English guy, he remembered that, and they asked him, what did you do different in these 3 months? He says, well, same physical training, but I worked on my mind. I visualized myself crossing the line and breaking the record. So I used that, especially when I realized that I had given my power to these doctors, and they started to say, well, we're going to try this, we're going to try that, throwing the kitchen sink on you, and don't do any of this stuff, vitamin C or whatever. I thinking, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. I did a minor in nutrition back in the day when I was playing NCAA tennis, because I wanted to have an advantage with energy. There were some great tennis players in the world writing books about that. So all that, it was this confidence and faith that I said, what this is it. I'm not gonna continue. This stuff is not working for me. And so it wasn't that I was broke, it's that I was looking for a venue that actually felt that it was going to work. I was already seeing myself cancer free. The moment that I decided to stop, and against everyone, they actually gave us what I would say last suppers like 3 or 4 times, because I had another recurrence in the brain and all this stuff. And so, and now in the credits in the back of my book, this doctor was saying, man, this guy proved us all wrong. And then spontaneous remission. No, they say this is something here. And go talk to your oncologist, my daughter's father said, because for him, you are a trophy. What does that mean? I'm a trophy for him because not everybody survives. This stuff is never going, they're not going to find the cure. The cure is from the inside out, Karen.
Exactly.
And because you are a coach and you're an expert on the mind.
Yep.
I became part of what I did is the first thing I did was becoming a Reiki practitioner. Then with my wife, we became teachers, and we do workshops from now, I don't know, 7 years. But then I became a functional nutritionist. And then I started to explore, and I landed into, it was like God-given, the Health Coach Institute, amazing program. And I did my holistic transformational coaching with them, which has a lot to do with reframing and stuff like that. And then ultimately, 3 years ago, I became a hypnotherapist. I took a 2-year program with Marisa Pierce in London, and I learned all about the rules of the mind. And I'm looking back and I'm saying, man, that was me, and I didn't know, but I was using a lot of this stuff because I was confident of how well it worked for my tennis. And so I read 2 more times through my journey, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Tom Murphy. That's one of my preferred books. He says it all so clear, and how much we command with the conscious mind, our subconscious mind. I used all of that so much. And then the one last part, as I was going through this, it's not like everything stopped when I went holistic, when I went natural, when I took God's pharmacy, what I call Mother Earth pharmacy. I had a couple more recurrences, but after they removed all, that was it. It was July 12, 2012. And so at that point, the one thing that I was not was a hypnotherapist. That happened 3 years ago. But for the last 9 years, so I did another leap of faith. I decided to stop my career as a chief technology officer in technology and go into health and wellness, which is where people need really the work. And so I started working only with folks that are going with cancer. And then with Sean, our coach, he saw me speaking live in Las Vegas. He was the keynote, and I had 10 minutes. 10 of us had 10 minutes in 2 days, spread in 2 days. He gave a workshop on Saturday, and on Sunday, it was the 5 of 10 speakers. I was one of those next to him, 2 before him, and he loved my story and what I did in 10 minutes. But he told me, look, if you asked, so you work only with cancer people. And I said, and he's the one that told me, look, why don't you create a group for prevention? Why waiting for something to break before people take action? And I shared the statistics here in the United States, which are right now so gloomy. They're even worse now. 1 or 2 men will have cancer in their lifetime. 1 or 3 women will have cancer in their lifetime. Almost half of our nation is obese. We have arthritis, all kinds of stuff going on. It's not only cancer. And so the whole thing, and it changed my view, is that now, remember the pyramid that he shows of your Profit Center, you have your one-on-one, in my case, then I have the group program, and I also have my books, and they do well. I wrote them in Spanish and English, and they both became bestsellers. But what made the shift was it was faith, and that brings confidence. It was like, I know this is gonna work. I did a lot of meditation, and a lot of the stuff that you work with your clients, I did that. I would pray, I would do contemplative meditation or prayer, I would meditate, I would journal, and I would see myself, I would see this divine ray coming down through my head and just going through the whole body and eliminating all tumors. I also used, you're gonna maybe like, do you remember a game Pac-Man? Remember Pac-Man? So I would see this creature eating the tumors away in my body.
Nice.
Twice, 3 times a day, Karen.
Nice.
And the mind learns by repetition. And one thing that Murphy says is, imagine you're the captain of a ship. You are the conscious mind, you are the captain, and you have a machinery group down there that don't even know where they're going. They'll only take the captain's command. So I was commanding.
I love that. I love that. I lost my question, but so one thing you said that you wrote to me, and this is imperative. You mentioned too the obesity in the world. So our diseases don't need to turn into cancer. Our diseases, our mental dis-ease resonates in the body that we were given and how it's going to show up. And it's going to show up as high blood pressure. It's going to show up as a heart attack. It's going to show up as cancer. It's going to show up as diabetes. It's going to show up in all these diseases. And another comment you made was the doctor said, well, let's try this. That's just a red flag for me, because you're using me as a guinea pig because you don't have the answer.
Absolutely.
And that triggers me.
Yes, me
But
too.
in a way. So the one thing that you said though that I'd like to tap into is, and I believe this too, and people wait until we have the actually dis-ease in our body. Why are we waiting? I know a person, I'm not gonna, that knew that it was ended up with breast cancer, but they waited so long, but they knew there was oozing and odd stuff with their breast, but they did nothing about it.
Yeah.
And now they had to full on cancer and radiation, and we removed her breast and everything. But what is it about? How can we change people's mindset on paying attention to their body? Because I'm all about that. I'm an ultra distance athlete, that I've been an athlete in fitness for a long time on keeping the body healthy. And then my own journey of getting shingles, and that's a message. That's a message that is like, okay, Karen, now you got to think about the inside of your body. And I never was a doctor because I thought that stuff was gross, but it's up to me to take care of it. And you made a comment, or what you wrote to was, why do people wait until something breaks? Why do we wait? What can we do to wake them up? And I hope people listen to this, share this, and wake up one of their relatives or their friends or something. Why do people wait?
Absolutely. It's a great question. And I have to say, it's part of our culture in the US. We're number 10 of the top 10 first world countries. We're the one that is the sickest. We're 10th in health. We're in last place. Why? And here's some things that it can maybe catch your attention. Pharmaceuticals, the biggest investment is the food industry. And the biggest investment for food industry is pharmaceuticals. So that tells you something. It's almost like there is a hidden agenda for us to get sick so they can sell us drugs. If you watch TV, we don't watch regular news or anything like that. We're watching something in Netflix or Amazon Prime, and then 2 out of 3 commercials, they're selling you drugs.
Right.
And we're only 1 of 3 first world countries that still allow that. The rest, they don't allow, just like smoking. Don't allow this stuff out there. You're making doctors legal drug dealers. That's what they're doing.
That's right.
And I discussed this now in February when I went for the wedding with my relatives that are doctors, and they agree. So that's one thing. The other thing is how we have been programmed. The mainstream is work, stress, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. And they don't take time for themselves, not even a minute to take a few deep breaths. They don't do that. They forget about that. They take care of their cars and their pets better than themselves. That's a reality. I'm not just saying just like to be, no, if you look at what they give their pets and what they eat, and oh, I gotta do maintenance on my car, but they don't stop themselves until something breaks.
Right.
That is really the biggest challenge that we have with as a coach and you yourself. There's so much stress, and then so much depression, and you probably know better than me the amount of suicides that are happening worldwide right now, and you're thinking, what's going on here? It's almost like something that is becoming normal. This one, and you realize it's any age, but youngsters mainly from, let's say, 18 to 30. Wow, the number is staggering. I do a lot of research with that, and I use GPT or other AI because that gives me more value when I talk to people. But the good thing is that you don't have to do anything drastic to make a change. Just start step by step, and your body, that you just mentioned a few minutes ago, will help you heal from the inside. It's waiting, it's almost screaming, hey man, give me a hand. Let's work on removing the inflammation from the body. And as a holistic health and prevention coach, I do have a metaphor of a holistic table. It has 4 legs. One of the legs is your physical body, your physical self. The other one is your emotional self, your mental self, and your spiritual self. If one of those legs is really loose or is missing in many cases, when I do my first few sessions, the table cannot not stand. You cannot eat on it. And it's a big red flag. Hey, you are a candidate for any disease. The body's going to send you a medical bill soon. So I do have for you and the crowd an ebook I wrote.
Okay, good.
Based on they can visit my website and get it there and for free.
I will post it in the show notes because this is going to be on YouTube.
Oh, this, okay.
On
I'll send you
YouTube?
some links so your audience can just go in there and get the book. And if they want to have a clarity call specifically, well, if they're sick, it's a complimentary call. I do it for 20 minutes. Sometimes it goes to an hour, depending on what happens in there. And the person is interested in working with me one-on-one, or right now, really making sure that they don't react, but they can be proactive and avoid disease. And it's so simple. It's all the very first thing to do is stop the inflammation and regulate your pH balance. And that's what the ebook is all about.
Yeah.
Balance pH and your health.
Awesome.
It's amazing because if you close the door, if you're going through any chronic disease and you're closing the door of where they strive, which is an inflamed body, eventually they have to surrender. There's no more disease. But if you are not sick and you have a healthy lifestyle, you sleep well, you manage your stress take time, nourish yourself. Who is putting a gun in your head to say you have to do all these things and you don't do anything for you? You got to start with you, because without this body, we're not here. So whatever we're thinking in there.
That's right. So you had that story earlier about never taking care of ourselves. And a lot of the simple things we can do, and that's just taking a moment to be in the present moment.
Amen.
Because when you can focus on one thing for 10 seconds in the present moment, there is no worry, there is no guilt, there is no stress, there's no I have to do this and this. And the more times a day you bring yourself into the present moment, you will feel a shift in your brain.
Amen.
To be responding as opposed to reacting in life over and over again. And the thing is people feel, I don't have time. I don't have time to do this. Yeah. I don't have time. Well, what? You won't have time when you're going to the hospital. You're in the hearse going to your burial site. Yes. And so the point, I believe in our longevity. I believe in our health. I believe in our body's ability to heal.
Me too.
And it's, if people would get over, so a common thing, oh no, this is my other coach. People have excuses. They have excuses for this and that. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I don't have this. I don't have that. Okay, well, go look at yourself in the mirror. Another thing I want to share with you, George, is and what I felt when you made this comment, when you said your tumor came back, was you're receiving messages. You are receiving messages from the divine to say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, just you're not on the right path right here.
Right.
Wake up and you need to go on this path because
Absolutely.
you have a mission here. You have a purpose here, as well as I do.
Yes.
And it's about health. It's about
Yes.
the ability to be the most healthiest body for our inner soul to be on this planet. And we have a gift here, and it's called
Yes.
nature.
Being good stewards of our own body. And this brought something very interesting. I basically came up with it. The more you're in the present moment, by the way, your biology changes. And if you
Exactly.
get to relax, you're already disinflaming your body.
Exactly.
But like you said, people say they don't have time. And my friends, time is the one resource that is not renewable. What happened yesterday is gone. And
Right.
today is the first day of the rest of our life. Think about that and check out, if you ask your clients even, but last Tuesday, I put everybody on the spot and I say, how many of you right now, I have 13 people. I stopped because I went for the wedding and I took a break for 2 weeks. I said, I need the break. And my assistant kept going. She's really doing wonderful in social media. But here's something that it'll raise people's eyebrows. Look at your schedule, your weekly schedule, and see if you have any times, any spot for you. For
Right.
you to go to the movies, for you to go to a concert, for you to just wake up early and just go for a walk or a run. We are athletes, we have a different view as well, but that's another problem. People don't sleep well and they don't move. We are designed to move, not to sit for hours. I understand work, but weekends, go out, get this free supplements of sunlight, vitamin D and the air. No, and then they wonder. And oh, I get sick now. For example, my wife's youngest brother, he's 52, right before Christmas, at the beginning of December, he got a heart attack. He had a heart attack. And he survived it. They did a bunch of stuff that on the veins and stuff. He was about 3 weeks, almost a month at the hospital. Just imagine the cost and the procedures. But his daughter, my niece, said to us, well, I told him I was not gonna help him because all he eats is crap. It's always chocolate and candies and this and that and refined sugars. This is a millennial talking. And so we have to step out of this mainstream and just look at yourself and be honest to yourself and say, if you are not doing any of this stuff that you and Karen and I are talking, you are in for a surprise. You're in that formula. You're the variable that says, oh man, I got a heart attack. Oh, cancer came to me. I have type 2 diabetes and so on. The list is amazing. And so one thing that is important to know for the crowd is, for your audience, is that in terms of digestion, which is really what I specialized on in nutrition, 25% is what you eat, and 75% is who you are when you're eating. In America, the average US adult chews 6 times only before they swallow. So what ends up happening there is that the stomach is not ready to receive unprocessed food. Digestion starts in the mouth. The saliva enzymes process the food. So we're supposed to chew depending on what we chew. You know, obviously, if you're doing mashed potatoes 8 times or something like that, 6 times, you can swallow. But if you're having any type of meat or anything else, that it's about 20 to 32 times. So the stomach really basically takes a processed food, and that's what it has to do. Send it to the small intestines. It goes through the liver and pancreas and the bloodstream. But if it doesn't happen, if it's not processed, the stomach decides to do, hey, I'm gonna send it to the belly or the butt or the legs. And guess what? With time, that becomes acidic as well. So that's one way. But if you're eating stressed out, that's even worse, because even if you chew, you're not going to chew slowly because you're stressed out, you got to do things. So there's so many simple things that you can do. And I tell you, within 6 weeks, you're a different person. You have to give it time, but it's not going to happen in one day. But once you get back and you get into that routine, it is tough later to get rid of it because you feel so good, you have so much energy for your work, all kinds of stuff.
I love that. There was a study done on people who consciously chew their food. So when we inhale food, we're eating so fast, your body doesn't have time to catch up with that. And I learned a lot about the liver when I got shingles. And so that's just an amazing organ we have.
Yes.
And when we can consciously say, and that's another way of being in the present moment, is conscious eating. And we don't do that because we're always in a rush. And so I invite everybody to think about this. Think what George just said, and what I'm going to say is chew your food consciously and chew it and slowly eat. Taste it. Feel the temperature, feel the feeling in your mouth, having the fork or spoon or whatever it got to your mouth. Be conscious, be aware. And what you'll end up doing is you'll eat less because your body now says, oh, I'm full, as opposed to you shoving everything in and then I'm full. Now, when I do my long events and I'm out there for 100 miles or more, riding a bike for a couple 100 miles. Sometimes I eat fast because I'm so hungry. But day to day, we eat every day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, eating. Taste the food.
Yes.
Even if you're really hungry, take the time and be present with it. I'm going
to also share a link for you, for your audience. It's called sensual eating. And
I love
just
that,
brought this into mind, because what happens as well, it's not that we chew so little, but in the average, it takes us 5, 7, 10 minutes to have lunch, for example. That is really suicide. I'm sorry to say this. Take your time. So what I did, and what I tell my clients, it's not just protocol is different. We go through the session and then I give them action steps for the week. And then for week 2, they have new action steps, but they have to continue the first week's action steps. And so you're building new habits. But here's the thing, if you can even have fun with this. You could, if you have a family, just go in and now you learn that you need to eat slower. Do a competition to see who chews more before they swallow.
Make it a game.
And then also, as a family, my wife and I, everybody's gone. We're just alone at home, but we look at we started eating at 1. We do it still like that because we're human and maybe there's something going on. I have to go somewhere. We got to catch a plane. And we need to make sure that, for example, I tell my clients, if you're eating in 10 minutes, bring it up to 15. Work yourself, chew less, drop your fork if you already put some food in the mouth, drop your fork. Look at the colors in your plate, and then be aware of how long it took for you to eat. And the goal is to bring the person up to 20 minutes, which is still, maybe you could take a little longer. I've seen people, like in Subway, if I'm gonna do some fast food thing, I go to a Subway if I don't have a choice. I remember my wife and I went there. By the way, that's another thing. You go to any place in the US, no, I haven't seen this anywhere in the world. The plates can fit 3 people. And they give us 1 plate. You order something, and then my wife and I split all the time. They bring us 2 plates. It's not for the money, it's too much. And there's something called hunger scale and fullness scale. Many people just eat it until there's no more food in the plate. So they
Yep.
overeat, and that's not
Right.
good for nutrition either. It's simple, but
We're taught that as a kid. I was taught that as a kid. My mom would tell us, finish everything on your plate. There's kids starving in some other country. Well, me eating on my plate doesn't mean they're going to get because they're starving.
yes,
But the other thing too is eating slowly, eat to 80% full.
yes,
Eat because
exactly.
you'll know that you're getting full. So stop there because when you do that and you overfill your stomach, you
Yeah,
overfill your body, it has to like set it aside, which creates a
yeah,
fat, inflammation and all
yes.
that before it can bring it in to digest it.
Yes, absolutely. Many things. There's just so many simple things, and people really love it. For example, I do what I tell people is I have a schedule, a hunger schedule and a fullness. The schedule in hunger, once it's between 4 and 5, when you're really ready to eat, go and do it. Don't wait until you're on a 9 out of 10 or 7, 8, where you don't even think. You just want to eat anything because you're so hungry.
Oh, got you.
And same with the fullness. Many people, I had someone in this group that said, what I decided to do with my husband, they do the same thing we do. They just ask one plate because maybe some appetizers, but the one plate. But one thing they do, if they don't have that, let's say they're luxury, they're in a party or a Christmas party or whatever, what they do is they order a box to go right away, and they put some of the food already to go. So what they're gonna eat, they make sure that doesn't go over 7.5. 8 could be 80%, but 7 to 7.5, 75% full is perfect for nutrition. You're actually doing your body well. Anything less, that's dangerous as well. But more than that, right now we have 46 million, no, 43 million, 43% of US adults. That's over, it's like 200 million. 43% of US adults are obese right now. And 12% of them are extremely chronically obese. And the whole thing, according to the National Cancer Institute and the Harvard School of Health, they're saying that if we don't change our ways, by 2030, right around the corner, half of our nation will be obese. So, and then add to it, like you're an athlete, that people don't go out for a walk, they don't nourish themselves. And so, I don't know, it seems like we're in a way hypnotized. As a hypnotist, I can say that. We just go out there, we don't have time for ourselves. I'll tell you one thing that really my wife and I learned a lot. Common denominator, we worked as volunteers for Kindred Hospice for 2 years and in Miami, and we did a little bit here. We changed now, we working now with planting trees and Feed America. I learned that from Tony Robbins, and I love it because with $35 you probably feed 4 or 5 people. And we're not like him, but he does millions of meals. But this guy's in hospice. The common denominator is, man, if I had time, if I had at least 5 years on me, I could do the things I always said I would do. I would spend more time with my family. I would do more things for me. And time went.
The
And
time went. I promised myself when I went to a seminar years and years and years ago that I was not going to die saying, "Oh, I wish I had."
yes.
Do not die saying, "I wish I had." So take the time for yourself today. Georges, thank you so much for being on this
Oh,
podcast.
thank you, Karen. And we'll talk offline, maybe also right now through Slack, but maybe we can do some things together. We can do some joint stuff, and because you work on one of the most important.
Yep.
Well, there are 4 legs of the holistic tail are important, but the mind is where everything starts in terms of understanding it, the rules of the mind, and practice. The mind learns by repetition.
Yep.
And
Georges, thank you for sharing this with
thank
us.
you.
And I'm super excited that you've been part of Running Strong Mind Body
Oh,
Connection.
absolutely. And I'll send you some links for you to share if
Yep.
you don't mind. And
I would, you guys go to the YouTube channel, Running Strong Mind Body Connection, and everything will be in the show notes and all the links to George's books, ebook, everything will be in the show notes. Thank you, Georges.
Thank you, and God bless.